What I just want to do briefly is set the context, talk a little bit about some of the problems that I think some of the people in this room are facing, and then look at, very briefly, conceptually, what a sort of approach might look like, and then just take you through what it is that we feel that Facewatch can do to support you in some of the benefits that might then accrue. Now, we've heard Commander Letchford talk this morning, and we've heard other speakers talk about the nature of the problem. I'm sure some of this is very familiar to you, but the BRC 2013 listed the sort of total loss that they thought business was suffering from. And again, interestingly, you look at some of those stats. In private, companies tell you something very different when it comes to the amount of loss that they're suffering from internal theft, which some of the bigger retailers will tell us amounts to almost 40% of their loss. In fact, internal shrinkage, as it were, is 40%, which is just a very, very big number. And similarly, if you think in terms of, and again, these are all this is all data, as it were, that's been shared with us by existing clients and is readily available on the internet. This has been shared with us with a leading accountancy firm. I mean, they reckon that businesses are losing between 1 and 1.5% of turnover. Well, when you start thinking in terms of their profit margins of being no more than 4%, and the Goldman Sachs report that came out last month anticipates that actually in the retail industry, when it gets to 2017, their profit margins are going to be below 4%. That loss is coming off profit. And in fact, what you're talking about then is up to 25% of people's stores if they're only to pay for the cost of crime. Again, I mean, when you think in terms of what could be done to protect value, that's a very big number. Again, a common complaint that we hear amongst security professionals is that within their businesses, what they do is seen as a necessary evil. It's something that businesses know they have to do. It's not part of mainstream retail life. It's certainly not taught in business school, for instance. And businesses tend to operate their security functions in silos. And then, of course, that's then extended to the way that businesses operate with each other. There's a lack of confidence in the police, and that's not a criticism of the police. I wouldn't do that given my background. It's just there's a lack of confidence amongst retailers and businesses in general that if they report a crime, the police just aren't going to be in a position to do anything about it. And that's not actually always the police's fault, because very often the information or the intelligence that gets past the police is unactionable. They just don't have enough to be able to start an investigation in a coherent and meaningful way. Again, we've heard this from BCRPs. The concept of a BCRP and a bid is clearly a very good one, but actually the quality of the intelligence products that BCRPs are able to generate and are then able to share and disseminate is very variable. Now, the ability of the police to be able to come and support the retail industry and businesses at large is, of course, going to come under constant pressure, not least because I think we can probably anticipate a further reduction of about 15% of policing budgets within the next comprehensive spending review. So the situation from the police's perspective just isn't going to get any better. That said, as we heard this morning, the police are very keen to improve the perception that exists, that they don't take retail crime seriously enough. So I'll just whisk through these. They're all self-evident on the screen. But the last one I want to touch on there is also, I think, increasingly important, and it's this perception and perhaps reality that victims don't feel that enough is actually being done when it comes to investigating their loss and managing them as individuals. So what can we do about it? Well, I think conceptually, and again, I think all I'm doing here is echoing some of the views that have already been expressed this morning, is that you've got to find yourself, or you've got to create an environment and have an approach that enables you to analyse exactly what's going on inside your business space. Once you've analysed that, you're then going to be able to determine much more clearly what your security posture and what the resources are that you're going to need to adopt the appropriate and requisite security posture that's going to enable you to deliver effective and efficient security. And then the other essential ingredient, of course, and component to this is the ability to share that information. Share that information within the business and share that information outside of your business so that you're then adopting a more collaborative and cooperative approach in terms of being able to deliver the enhanced levels of security that everybody wants. And then finally, of course, being able to share meaningful intelligence products to the police or with the police that will then enable them to be able to do something about it. So in terms of the analysis, what are we talking about? Well, of course, we are talking about focusing on offenders, and we're talking about being able to identify who it is who's actually committing the crime against you. But more than that, actually, I think what we're trying to do is that we're trying to understand more fundamentally what, how, where, and when crime is happening. So if we turn to Facewatch specifically, you'll see on the screen there that that's sort of the opening page. There's a whole range of functionality. I can't even begin to scratch the surface of what it is that the platform can do for you. It's a secure online platform that in essence enables you to communicate internally, to communicate externally. It enables you to communicate with the police. It enables the police to communicate with you as a business. It enables you to share information. It enables you to share that information internally. It enables you to share the information externally. You, as a data controller, will have absolute control about what it is that you share, when you share it, how you share it, with whom you share it. And that goes just as much inside the business as it does externally. And then when you think it's appropriate, and only when you think it's appropriate, and when you think it'll be useful and important, can you then share that information with the police. And what you will be able to do is, using the platform, is having automatically populated what is in effect an incident report and a witness statement, which is an MG11, you can attach the CCTV imagery that relates to that incident, or multiple incidents, multiple perpetrators, including details about vehicles, with the police, pre-packaged in what the Crown Prosecution Service are now calling a digital evidence package, and that's good enough in court. Police are then having to do the hard part, which is actually going to catch someone, take them to court, and then hopefully they'll get an early guilty plea. And then finally, just supporting the victim, because I do think this is an important element. And what the platform will then enable is communication between the victim of the crime and the police. So the victim of the crime will then be able to say to the police, once they've received a crime reference number from the police accepting that incident as a crime, what are you doing about investigating this crime? And it's also actually an extremely helpful way from the police's perspective about being able to stay in touch with the victim and to keep them up to date. So does it work? Well, we are here, well I'm here, sorry, standing here, with thanks to the Southern Co-op. They've now trialled it across their 240 stores in the south of England. In two particular instances, having done some analysis over a period of time, they were able to determine what the high value items were that were being nicked, when, how, when, literally what time of day, what day of the week, etc., and they were able to adopt the appropriate security posture. So they've reduced crime, 90% of the crime has gone down in one of their stores, and then the other one in Bedminster is out 80%, and that's just a quick testimonial from the store manager. So just closing then, what are the specific benefits that we feel that you can enjoy? And again, these are benefits that have been shared with us from people who are happy users of the Facewatch platform. Well, the first thing, and I've already touched on this, is you do get a much better understanding of how, where, and when you are suffering theft or shrinkage or any other form of security-related incidents. Because, of course, going back to one of the previous speakers' comments, it could just be antisocial behaviour that you want to record. And again, using the platform, you can actually issue people with banning notices, banning them from your premises. So we can help you join up the dots across your retail platform, across your retail estate, and across an entire community as well. Because it's online, because it's cloud-based, there's no hardware, you don't have to buy any kits, you don't have to download any software, and therefore it's extremely simple to use. You do need to have access to the internet. And what's more, because of the way that the platform's been designed, it has very open APIs. I'm now pretending to be technologically savvy, which I'm not, but what that means is that in essence it can be integrated with just about any other information management system that you may add. And indeed, we're currently integrating the system into the IMS systems used by the police. And then once the data from the instance has been analysed, you can of course then start to put the mitigating strategies in place. And again, some of those benefits that you can achieve will be enhanced levels of safety and security for your employees, enhanced levels of safety and security for the public, which again is a big advantage, you can then start to improve, the protection of your business value, which again, from a finance director's perspective, and again, I won't go into any detail now, but it is interesting the extent to which people who are responsible for delivering security don't seem to have any access to people on the board, let alone the finance director. And when you start talking to a finance director about how you can start to really generate extra profitability by just literally shaving the amount of loss that you're suffering from theft, then you can start to have a much more interesting conversation. And clearly what the other thing you can do is that once you start to become a lot smarter about the security posture that you've adopted, you can actually start to reduce the amount of money that you're spending on security. Not to be underestimated, and you then start to get a much better quality service from the police, because actually what you're doing is giving the police what they need to be able to start their investigation. Again, we've got some quite interesting stats from people like West Mids who use Facewatch or are keen to use Facewatch. They reckon they've been able to compress a process from the time they receive a call that a crime's been committed to the point where they've been actually able to analyse the CCTV from 3 weeks down to 10 minutes, because they just get an email which says, this is what happened, this is where it happened, these are the people involved, and here are the pictures. And finally, you get an improved delivery of any corporate social responsibility programme you may have in terms of your engagement with the local community. So that's me. Thank you very much. I'll sit down and maybe take some questions.